Kugoo, they're stepping up their game with this equipped with a touchscreen, cool-looking and well-performing city scooter. Today, we're inspecting the Kirin S4. Hey, welcome back to the channel and really nice to meet you, especially if we see each other for the first time. I'm Michael, and what we usually do here is to inspect cool, fresh, new tech like the Kirin or the Kugoo Kirin S4. And believe it or not, I think we've tested each and every S model by Kugoo Kirin so far on the channel, which is kind of remarkable. And why Kugoo? Because, well, they seem to be one of the few brands which offer good ratio in terms of performance, quality and price, and a good alternative to the Mi Scooter series. And I guess you're here because you want to find out everything about the good and the not so good sides, and probably to find out about my experience in the past few weeks with riding this particular scooter, or just to satisfy the hunger of learning something new about some fresh new tech. We're starting with some information about the price. This scooter costs about the same as the Mi Scooter 3, so clearly it has the ambition to offer more at a small price. What you will notice in the next minutes is the rise of Kugoo as a brand, paying more attention to the details and also not letting poorly designed elements to stand between you and the fun of riding. So, let's unbox and see what this scooter has to offer. Doesn't feel like it's too difficult for transportation. Good moments to invite you to check some of our reviews of heavyweight scooters that we made this summer. So, the Kirin S4 is apparently well packed, and here it is with all the accessories. First thing I noticed are the rather big tires. Looks like Kirin are going for pneumatic tires as opposed to the solid tires they've used with the predecessors. The construction at the first sight looks solid. There's a charger included, a tool set and the user guide. I'm glad to say that there's not too much you should do for setting it up except for mounting the handlebar. Everything else is pre-assembled, which is nice, and overall this is how most of the scooters of such size are usually being shipped. So far everything looks good. Lightweight but solid construction, nice tires, a motor which is obviously inside the rear wheel, and very good ground clearance. Before the first ride, make sure the battery is fully charged, you have suitable equipment like helmet and knee or elbow protectors, and get to know the user guide better. I will in the meanwhile highlight the most interesting technical characteristics so that we can set the expectations about the riding experience right. A 350 watts motor with maximum speed up to 35 km per hour, a really nice touch-enabled display which looks almost like a motorbike dashboard, 10-inch inflatable tires, 360 watt-hour battery, foldable design, rear disc brake and weight of just 13.5 kilos. So far, it sounds good. Since I use Mi Scooter 3 as a reference, because it obviously is among the most popular in the mainstream class, there is no Bluetooth and therefore no smartphone app, a waterproof certification is lacking, and the braking system doesn't strike with good planning. Since we talk about having the disc brake and the electronic brake triggered by the same handle, this scooter will not be compliant with countries where regulations require two separate brakes. There also is no area planned for a plate number, so this could be another challenge. But I think, given the interesting specs and the rather large battery, we should expect good range and very responsive motor. So let's hop on and do some riding. So the first significant difference to note is the handlebars. You can see it's really wide, almost as wide as a mountain bike, which allows you to have really good control over steering and makes things really good when you're riding. And I think that's one of the good upgrades of the S4. The other thing I could highlight is actually good news. Finally, Kugoo are ditching the active suspension, which with rather cheap scooter, let's face it, doesn't have much of impact. It's going to be just jingling and not doing too much of good things about the smoothness of riding. And adopting inflatable tires is actually a bliss because, well, no problem about bumps. You can pump them up to 3.5 bars, which still keeps a good and comfortable level. And I think the response towards the changes in the surface when you're riding is just excellent. The board is with medium size, not too narrow, but definitely could have been wider. The Kirin S4 offers perfect height for tall people. I think riders up to 2 meters height will feel rather comfortable and weight distribution will be okay. Of course, the highlight of the S4 design This is the touch-enabled dashboard. Real-time speed, battery indication, information about mileage. It looks super cool, especially at night. And overall, riding the scooter was pleasing all the time. Also, really nice folding mechanism similar to the Kirin Mini 2 model tested by Victor earlier this year. But if you already have the feeling it's all too good to be true, wait a minute, because we haven't finished yet. From the promised 40-kilometer range, I managed to reach no more than 14 per charge without riding at constantly high speeds and without pushing the scooter to the limits. With similar riding style, I can easily get close to 25 kilometers per charge out of the Mi Scooter 3. So range is definitely not great. I do hope it's something not right with just my battery and yours is going to last longer. The dashboard. It's great at night, but barely visible in daytime. There's no way to see the areas to be touched in order to change something, so you better use the hardware buttons for controls. I think the braking performance is among the weakest points about the scooter. So this is the handlebar, and it actually engages the brakes of two layers. First of all, there's a layer of the motor, so the motor resistant, which I have most of the remarks about, and also there is a disc brake. So the big problem in my opinion is when you engage the brake, there is this slight kick for probably half of a second and even shorter when the scooter actually accelerates, which makes you really nervous because you never know whether you're going to brake on time or not. And there have been several occasions where I felt really stressed whether I'm gonna make the braking, the stopping on time or not. And I guess this kind of mechanism, everything focusing the rear wheel, although being a little bit weird, it also has some advantages. I think the main outcomes are three. First of all, even if you aggressively brake, you would never just fall over the scooter, which is a good thing. Secondly, braking efficiency is not that great because the whole braking system is focusing the rear wheel. And thirdly, be extra careful when it's raining because it's going to be extra slippery. Here's one of the things I've never seen on other scooters. The temperature indication looks nice, but also seems to be very random. Also, the battery percentage is kind of awkward. I may shut the scooter off at about 52% and half an hour later, it's going to show like 10% less. So, if at the end I'd like to show you a list with all the weaknesses, it's gonna look like this. Unreliable braking, not too great range, possibility of punctures, lack of Bluetooth and smartphone app, and not waterproof. Not too many, but some of these could be quite significant. And it's a bit of a shame that such a good construction and smooth riding are hindered by not so great range and the weird acting motor brake. Still, this is one of the quietest and sturdiest scooters I've tried, so although I have mixed feelings about it, it could be a great choice if you can buy it at a reasonable price and, of course, being aware of the possible drawbacks at the same time. And so, my dear friends, guys and girls, since this episode is almost over, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you think about the Kugoo Kirin S4, and hopefully I've answered to most of your questions, whether it's a good enough purchase, whether it's a meaningful competitor to the Mi Scooter series, and pretty much everything you want to know about it. And if you have some follow-up questions, comment below. As usual, links with the best discount I managed to find for you in the description below the video. And since the scooter review season is almost over, maybe you can head over and check some of the other cool tech inspections on the channel. More to come soon. I'm Michael, take good care, ride safely, don't forget your helmet, like I very often do, and see you in the next episode. Bye.